Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year to you all and welcome back for 2023. Thanks for joining us on our weekly AJA Zoom events and welcome to any new people that we have this week and for this year. Now, we also have people watching on Facebook and some who listen to the audio replay, which is broadcast every Thursday at midday and Sundays at 4 p.m. On J-Air Community Radio. That's at FM 88 in Melbourne, or at j-air.com.au everywhere else. So welcome to you all. My name is Alan Freedman. I'm Vice President of the Australian Jewish Association. If you were joining us just before 8 o'clock, you would have seen David Adler, but only momentarily, because at this moment he's in the Sky News studio waiting to go on air with Chris Kenny. So David will come back and join us after his interview. Also on your screens, you will see our guest for tonight, who is a man by the name of Neil Kifarkis, who immigrated to Australia as a Christian Arab from Syria, but there is more to his story that we will get to later. Now, the format will be as usual. We're going to have a discussion with Neil about his life and some aspects and views that he may have heard about Israel, and then we'll take questions. But I do want to point out that Neil may need to be a little guarded about what he can say on some issues, as he still has connections in Syria. If you do want to ask a question, the way to do it is to raise your hand electronically, and you do that in the reaction icon. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see a reaction icon. If you click on that, you'll see the option to raise your hand. The chat function is going to be administered by Robert Gregory, our Director of Public Affairs. So he will be watching the chats, not me. And if you do have any questions that you want to put to Neil and don't want to speak, then you can type them into the chat function and Robert will read them out in due course. Okay, so here in the diaspora, we usually don't think of Syrian Air Force personnel as being anything other than hostile to Israel. But one person who doesn't fit that mould is Neil Kifarkis. Neil immigrated to Australia with his family as the protests and political uprisings began in Syria about 10, 11 years ago, and now openly questions the Syrian aggression to Israel. But interestingly, he has since found out that his own DNA analysis contains about 30% Mizrahi heritage from Iran or Iraq and about 11% Sephardi heritage from Northern Africa. So to tell us his story and discuss the Middle East, we're delighted to have Neil with us tonight. Neil, good evening to you and welcome to the Australian Jewish Association.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Good evening for everybody. Good evening for you. Sorry that I'm talking for the first time now with you guys after 6 years being in Australia. I should do this before that. If the issue is, do you know what, Alan? This is the first time I'm talking openly like this. This is the first time I'm feeling freedom to talk, actually.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to start perhaps a little bit in the middle of the story and then we'll go back to the beginning. So I want to ask you, Neil, when you arrived in Australia, did you notice any differences in the way Israel was discussed?
Yeah, of course, sure. The way about Israel here is totally different than the way we discuss about it in Syria, of course, sure. But the issue was when we are just arrived as a permanent resident, we need to wait, at least this was my thinking, to wait till we have the citizenship. Because till the citizenship, you are Syrian. I don't have any other country. They can remove me from here anytime by one decision. So I was very afraid to talk, very afraid to start connections. But believe me, from the first day I arrived to Australia, my thing was just to start finding friends from that country, from the country who was in that side of the river. From the country was always, we're not supposed to talk about it. Really, that was very, very interesting thing for me. And I started thinking about it from the first day I arrived to Australia. But I really start talking about it when I took my citizenship, the Australian citizenship in 2021.
Okay, so just tell us, when did you arrive in Australia and at what age?
Yeah, I arrived in Australia in 2016, just around 10 days before Christmas. So in 2016, before Christmas time, I arrived with my wife and my 3 kids here, coming from Iraq, from North Iraq, from Erbil city, where I was working there, because I left Syria from 2012. I left Syria when the civil war started there. So 5 years in Iraq till 2016, and arrived Australia 2016. I was 38 years old when I arrived to Australia with my kids, and start continuing my same professionality, because I am a mechanical engineer, automotive engineer, start searching for the same jobs here in Australia, and I was lucky. And now I am working with Ferrari as a warranty manager in Ferrari Sydney.
So you're working with Ferrari, is that right?
I am the warranty manager for Ferrari Maserati Sydney, yes.
Oh, do they give you a car to drive?
I hope, man.
Okay, so you mentioned that you sort of wanted to speak to the Jewish community. So before we go back to your childhood, tell us, why did you feel that you wanted to reach out to the Jewish community?
Let me tell you something. Because I started this thinking not now, and not even when the war started in Syria. I started this since I was in the high school. Believe me, from high school, I start thinking why we are fighting these people, why these people should be my enemy, why I'm fighting Israel. So believe me, everything was in my mind. The question is why I'm fighting Israel, why Jewish people are enemy, why I should fight them, why I am paying all this money to the country, all this economy, the army, the young people going to war, for what, for who, and why? Especially, look, it's a little complicated in Middle East. I want, maybe not all our Australian friends will understand that, but in Middle East, it's too complicated. Why it's complicated, Alan? Because it's complicated between the country, the land, the religion, and also your blood, because it's too complicated. So why when I started thinking about that, and why, let me tell you this quick story if I have the time. I was in high school, and there was a suicide bombing inside a civil school bus in Tel Aviv. Till now, I understand that. It was about springtime. And the people who were responsible for this, I think it was the jihad, the Islamic jihad side. So my father told me on the news, and of course everybody in Syria was happy about this news. This is looked suicide bombing, jihadi people. At that time, they were happy with these people. After that, we discovered that they ruin our country. That's another story. I will come back to it again. But at that time, everybody was happy. I remember till now, my father, he passed away in 2014. He said, why these people are happy? This guy, he bombed himself in a children bus school. Where's the hero in it? If you are very hero, that's the soldiers, that the army, go fight them. Why you are bombing yourself in a civil bus? Where's the hero movement in this? From that time, I started thinking, yeah, that's right. Why we are fighting these people? What's the problem with us? Especially our guy and our people with us today, and our audience, they should know that in Syria, you can't even think about this. Not just talk. Think you can't. You can't think that why we are not having a peace with Israel. Even thinking, you can't think about this in the Hafiz Assad regime, or even Bashar Assad regime, in Al-Ba'ath regime, Al-Ba'ath party regime. So from 63, when these people control my country, they wash brain the people there that we need to fight and start fighting with Israel. Why? And there's another thing, as I told you, it's complicated, because I am also Christian, and not just Christian, I am also Assyrian. So I'm not in the blood, I am Assyrian, and I am minority in the minority of the Christianity in Syria. So that was a big question, why I am first as a Christian, second as Assyrian, third as a Syrian, why I want to fight Israel, for what? Of course, again, you can't think loudly with this. You just need to think deeply between you and yourself. Till uni, when we arrived at uni, I started searching about this. I started reading about this, not just thinking. I started reading about the war, about 67 war, about 73 war, about what happened in Jordan, what happened in Lebanon, what happened in Iraq, what's happening now in Syria. So really, that picture was clearly coming more clear day by day. Day by day was more clear. It was becoming more clear that this is not my real enemy.
Yeah.
Israel are not my real enemy. My real enemy is still there in that.
Yes, we'll get to that in a moment. So just tell us a little about your childhood in Syria. What sort of life did you have? Were you middle class, for example? What was it like growing up in Syria?
Yeah, let me give it to you quickly. I grown up in a Homs city. We call it Homs city. It's about 40 kilometers.
Yes.
It's about 40 kilometers far away from Lebanon and 80 kilometers from the sea. It's very nice city, very cool city, very nice, good people, very nice people. It's a city, not, it's like here when you say Brisbane after Sydney and Melbourne. So it's something like that. So it's the third city as a size after Damascus and Aleppo in the north. My family was we are three kids. So I have another two brothers, and this is another sad story because my brother is in Sweden with my mother, and my youngest brother, he is alone in Canada, and I am here in Australia. Just imagine what this war did to us. And my father was a finance controlling manager, so he was a finance man. We are in the mid-level family. My mother was just not working mother, just taking care of her kids. My mother family, from my mother's side, everybody was communist. So everybody was communist party. So from that time, I saw them how they are dealing with things not in front of everybody, because you can't say there at that time in Syria that you are communist. The Syrian security will take you away. So when I was a kid, I was seeing them how they are meeting secretly, talking secretly, not showing and from that time, all these political things start coming to my mind. The other thing is very important in my childhood, that my area, which is Bab Sba in Homs city, it was one of the oldest streets in Homs and in Syria as age. It's very old district and very old streets, very old area. Plus, all the people around us were radical Islamic people, very radical Islamic people around us. So my friend and my childhood was with the people very radical in the Islamic way, very Salafi and jihadist. And so I was 7 years old, I know how these people are thinking, what's their thinking, why they are thinking like that, and what they can do.
And did the topic of Israel come up during your school years?
Of course. Let me tell you something, Alan. The topic of Israel starts even before you coming to school, in the news, in the paperwork, in the newspapers, in the radio, in the people around you were talking. Of course, everybody is talking about Israel as a bad enemy. Not all the people know why. Believe me, not all of them know why, but it's just brainwashed by the government. First, they can't say anything against that. Second, they can't even think against that. Third, they don't need to think against that, because this is the life there and this is how they are doing there. You need to more showing to them that you are against Israel. Wow, that's very good. This is a good citizen.
So your parents must have been, well, they were sort of very free thinking.
Yes.
And they obviously, I guess they must have passed that on to you as they raised you. But that would have been very risky, as you said, for them.
Yes, and for that, because it's risky, and because this is my family thinking, I need you to know that for this reason exactly, my father was the only kid from his family there. So when he's young, all his family, all my parents from my father's side, they are living in Canada. They immigrated there from 1964. My two uncles, they ran away from the Syrian army and they joined Beirut, Lebanon, and from there they ran away to Canada from 1963. So I am from a family. Really, they don't want to join these things. They don't like, and they talk not like other people inside the house between the four walls. Sorry, in the room. And as I told you, also from my mother's side, they are from a party which is communist, which is against also the Ba'ath party, which is the controller party in the government. So yeah, I took this, that not everything is I am hearing in radio is correct. Not everything I'm reading in the newspaper is correct. From that time, I started thinking about that. And but in the uni, everything was coming more clear, because in uni you have the resources and there was internet, and I start searching, start reading, not like high school. In high school, everybody is like just a copy. You can't move right or left. But in the uni, you still have a free small space to read, to go to libraries, to order book outside Syria, banded book. And I started doing this from I was year 2 in the uni, in the mechanical engineering uni. By the way, my mechanical engineer was in Aleppo, so I stayed 5 years in Aleppo also. And I surrounded myself also with a different kind of people. Some of them was very right Islamic side, some of them was very right Christian side, some of them was very right in the government side. So yeah.
Okay, so Neil, tell us about your military service. So were you drafted or did you volunteer, and what did that involve?
No, of course there's no volunteer. No, it's mandatory service in Syria. When you finish your school, if you are in the school after high school, or if you are in the uni after the uni, you need to join the army for 1 year and 6 months, or 2 years, depend on your certificate or your graduated. If you are doctor or engineer, you will have just 1 year and 6 months. If you are a normal high school student, you will have 2 years. So you have less 6 years if you are graduated as engineer or doctor and army. But it's mandatory army. You need to go. You don't have any option. You will not have your passport. You will not have your normal life. You can't even marry. Just imagine, you can't marry if you are still need to go to the military in service in Syria. By my luck, they heard that I am very good in aircraft, because it was something I really was very skilled in it. But from I was maybe year 10, I know all the details and difference between F-15 and F-16 and MiG-29. So they discovered this in the army, so they sent me to the Air Force school, not to be pilot, but to be engineer there. But after the first 6 months, which is just very military heavy training every day, they sent me to the, and that was really very surprised. I went to a very lucky area. Not every people can join that building, believe me. They sent me to the office of the commander of the Syrian Air Force and Air Defense General. So I was in his office. I was preparing his emails, his mail, normal paper mail, his communication, his guests. Sometimes he's coming afternoon, so I need to organize his office, organize his papers, what his files he need to do. This file is top secret, this file is not secret, this file send it to this side, this file send it to this department, something like management administration things inside his office. I was lucky because everybody was asking me, who's behind you to send you to this office? Not everybody can go there. And this is important. Look, you need to know this, and I need to explain it to our audience today. I am a Christian, and in Syria, if you are Christian, yes, you can go to many places, but in army, to this sensitive places, you need to be Alawi. Alawi is the minority of Muslims who are controlling Syria, and Hafiz Assad and Bashar Assad, his son, they are Alawi. You need to know this. When I told you it's complicated, that was, I mean, what they can.
Yeah.
So everybody was surprised that, I mean, as Christians in that office. Yeah.
Now, Neil, your English is very good. So where did you learn English? And was your work in the Air Force a mixture of English and Arabic?
No. There it was just Arabic. There's no English there. In case there's any guests coming to see the general, the commander of the Air Force and Air Defense, there will be a translator with them. official translator. If he's Russian or he's Pakistani or he's from India, if he is from another Arab country, no problem. But for me, now I used my English. Actually, I start my English because this is another funny story. My grandfather from Iraq, before we arrived to Syria in 1933 as Assyrians, we were in Iraq. My grandfather was a soldier in the British Army in Iraq. So he was, first thing he taught us and passed to us is English language. He pushed us to start reading dictionaries, reading books, hearing movies in English. Even in the university, I was studying English more than any other of my other friends or colleagues there in the uni. Of course, in the mechanical engineering, you still need English to read the books. It's a science thing. But my language is English talking. It's started from my grandfather, who was a soldier in the British Army in Iraq.
Okay, so technically Israel and Syria are still at war. So was Israel your main enemy while you were in the Air Force? Or
yes. Yeah, of course. And another thing happened when I was also in the Air Force was the July war between Hezbollah and Israel in 2006. I was there in the office, and I was there and I saw them, how much they were busy, how much they were preparing the maps, sending mails, sending very big development under top secret, closed under top secret. Of course, I can't know what's inside. They will not show it to me. But sometimes they went to sleep 4 a.m. in the morning. They were like ant cell or bee cell. Everybody is just running. Yeah. And in that time, they cut off our day off. So I can't go back to home. I need to stay there and also sleep there all that month. And actually, I tell you something. This war was another turning point in my life, because that stupid war that Hezbollah did it show me that really these people in Israel, they are not our real enemy. They are faking us. The guys here, our enemy, are around us. We need to know that, because if you saw what happened to Syria, and if you go back more, if you want to go back more, so what happened in Jordan in 1970 in the Black September in Jordan.
Yes.
And what happened after that in Lebanon in 75, and how they started it, the Palestinian militias, and how they started it with a peaceful, beautiful country like Lebanon. Look what they did to it.
Sure.
Many questions start from there. And then the war 82 between us and Israel in Lebanon. And when Hafez Assad sent 86 pilots, they sent them to the hell, just because he want to send them with a stupid old MiG-17 and MiG-21 aircraft to fight F-15 and F-16 Israeli, just to show a point. So just to show a point, they can give away 86 young pilots with a family, with kids, with children, with mothers waiting them, just to show a point. That was how much it's critical to us to live under this controlling people. And that was really more and more question coming to my mind. Why these people are doing this to my country? Why I'm go ahead.
And when you say that they sent those Syrian pilots just to make a point, it sounds as if they really understood that those pilots were not going to come back.
Yeah, of course, sure. Alan, look, let me tell you something. I am not a pilot, and I am not an officer in the Air Force, and I am not an officer in the Air Force school, and I am not very professional in these things, and I'm just mechanical engineer. And I know when you send MiG-21 or MiG-17 to fight against dogfighter in the air against F-15, yes, you are.
There's only one outcome.
You are saying. Yes, with the people life. Yes, that's right.
So your time in the Air Force, I mean, Israel had captured the Golan Heights many years before. Did that come up as a point of discussion? What did the Syrians think about that?
Yeah, let me tell you this also. interesting thing actually, because for Golan Heights, there's two stories in Syria. One story is the story you hear everywhere, every place, in front of everybody, and everybody is talking about it, that they are heroes. They fight against Israel with Egypt, with Anwar Sadat, and they capture the land back, and they kick Israel out. Okay, very nice, funny. But the other story is, which is the story you can't talk about it. The story you need to hear it whispering between people, that it was a joke, man. It was a joke. They sent the people just to kill themselves there, and then under the table they start doing negotiated between Egypt and Syria, and then the Syrian guys, Hafez Assad, want to make a point and start all this negotiation again about 80 days after the 6 October war. But then the story that many people, they don't know, but the Syrian people, they know it, that there was orders to some Syrians to run away from that side, from the front lines, to back. Okay, if you want them to run away, and if you don't want to fight, why you are sending the people there? These points, man, these things coming, plus after the war, let's take the war is over, okay, that's it, done. They closed the border. There's a people there, yeah, Syrian people living there, some villages. And these villages are from Druze.
Yes.
They are Druze, okay? So I have many Druze people friends here. Some of them are here with Australia with me. They came as a refugee with me here from Syria. Some of them, actually, he's my neighbor here. He told me, he's from that area. He's from that area. He told me, Neil, let me tell you something between us. All the Druze people living under the under the Israeli government there in Golan Heights, they don't want to come back to Syria again. They don't want to come back. Why? Because there, at least there's a government, there's a state, there's a people, they can take care of them. Okay, maybe there's problems, they are not perfect, sure, but they don't want to come back to Syria, because look how much bad is our government and our people there, the controlling our country and our future, that the other Syrian people, which is captured by the Israeli army from that side, don't want to come back.
Yes.
All the Syrians know this. All the Syrians from there deep, they know that, and they know this is the truth, but nobody can say that.
Do the Golan Heights have any particular significance to Syrian culture? Because it sounds from the last, I don't know, 30, 40 years, Israel is not going to hand over the Golan Heights back to Syria anytime that we can see. So what do you, as an ex-Syrian, I mean, how important were the Golan Heights when they were under Syrian control, or are you not all that fussed whether it's Syrian or in Israeli hands?
Look, let me tell you something quickly. Again, I am not talking as a professional. I'm talking like a normal citizen from the street. Look, Golan Heights are very important for Syrian people, very important for the government, not just for the Syrian people. It's very important for the government and very important for the regime. Why? Alan, Golan Heights are 40 kilometers far away from the heart of Damascus. So if you have the Golan Heights, if you have a stone and you throw it, you can reach Damascus city. But the issue is, and this is another question mark with our government, that they don't care about the Golan. I'm telling you, they don't care. They are just showing to people, they need something to talk about. They need something that nobody can ask them, why you are doing this? No. We need Golan Heights to back. So don't open your mouth about anything. Where's the money of the oil? Don't ask about the money of the oil. We have Golan Heights. Okay. Where's the economy? Don't ask about the economy. We have Golan Heights. Okay, that's good. So yes, it's important. We know it's important, and really it's important. But actually, they don't care about the Golan. They don't care about Golan Heights. They care about themselves. They just need something to hang their problem, and they need something just to push the people not to ask about anything else. They just want to keep the people busy with something. We need to liberate Palestine. We need to liberate Golan Heights. Like the same as Hezbollah, the same game doing now in Lebanon. When the Israel army give them South Lebanon, they said, no, there is still 100 meters of Shab'a farms. It's there should be liberated. So we need to go fight. It's just they are just playing with people. They are just putting something as a, what you say in Arabic, like a hanger, just to keep.
It's an excuse. It's an excuse.
Thank you. Just for execute. Yes, but it's really important for us. Should be important, of course, but they are not important for them. Believe me, they don't care about it.
Okay, we're going to get to questions in a moment. So I can see there's one hand up. Now's the time to put your hand up if you have any questions. Just before we do, I'm going to play something for everybody. Hi everyone, this is Alan Friedman from the Australian Jewish Association. I just want to remind you about our mission to Israel this year. It kicks off on Wednesday the 3rd of May, and for 8 days you will be treated to a range of sites and lectures on the politics of Israel, but definitely not from a left-wing perspective. We are inviting you to join the AJA team of David Adler, Robert Gregory and myself for an all-inclusive tour of Israel that promises many unique and exciting experiences. You can find all the details on the webpage, so if you are looking for something special to do later this year, we would be delighted to have you join us. Please visit the mission link for further information. Yeah, that's a little commercial for our mission to Israel. So we're having our mission in early May of this year. So you're welcome to join us. If anybody wants to find out a little bit more information, then by all means contact either myself or David, and we'll be happy to talk to you. Now, if you're listening on J-Air, this is the Australian Jewish Association Zoom event, which we have every Wednesday night. Our guest tonight is Neil Kifarkis. He's a Syrian Christian former Air Force personnel, and we're hearing a little bit about his life story and the views of Syrians in relation to Israel. We're going to go to questions. Just before we do that, I'm going to show you what's coming up next week. So next week we've got a very interesting topic. Hopefully people can see that. Not yet? No. There we go. You should be able to see that now. So next week we've got Herb Keenan. He's a veteran journalist with the Jerusalem Post, and this is a topic that's very frustrating for all of us because it touches on the United Nations voting pattern regarding Israel. So we're going to have a chat to Herb about it and see if he can enlighten us as to what's going on and whether Israel has true friends in the United Nations. So that's coming up next week. And as we always mention, if you're not a member of AJA, please go to the website and join because we need your support to continue doing all the work that we like to do. We're going to go to questions in just one moment, but I've got one more question of my own that I want to ask Neil, and then we'll go to the audience. Neil, your DNA analysis is very interesting. Tell us, how did you come to do the test and why? And what did you think when you got the results?
Look, that's really another funny story. We need to share it with you guys. I started thinking about doing my DNA test when I just arrived to Australia because we don't have this idea there in Middle East. But here in Australia, I hear it from my friend, and I was very interesting to do it because I have two different kind blood of my mother and father, because my father is a Syrian, but my mother, she is from the Orthodox Christian Church, Greek Church from Homs. So I was thinking, let me see from where I am really a Syrian, I am really from Syria, or I am really from, maybe if I'm from another place. So I did my test, and here was the surprise. The test was that 41.5% of my blood is Jewish. And that maybe answer many questions started in my mind.
It does. It does.
So the other 14.5 is European, Italian, and Greek, and 33.1 from Iran, Iraq, West Asia, and just 11% from Middle East. So the Middle East, everybody here in the street, they saw me. Yeah, this is the guy from Middle East. No, I have just 11% from Middle East guy. Come on.
Now, just tell us. You mentioned that you're Assyrian, and of course that's a very ancient culture. And I think the Assyrians go back to the temple times.
That's right.
So how far back can you trace your lineage?
Really, the last name we can find is just till 1,700, not more, not back more, because it was not recorded everything. But my grandfather, I still have the name of that family. We have documents from Ottoman Empire till till 1774, something like that. But we are Assyrian. Alan, in the house, we don't speak Arabic. We speak Assyrian. In the house, between me and my wife and my kids, we don't, even in Syria, we don't speak Arabic. We speak Assyrian.
And what is that language like? Is it closer to Greek?
No. Let me tell you something. It's too close to the Aramaic and Hebrew. We say shlama. We say khamish for 5.
Really?
Yeah, we say khamshamma for 500. We say khamim for hot water. Khamim. We say pumma. We say libba for the heart. we say Allah for Eli, for the God. So we say kepa for the rock. We say Torah for the mountain. We say Torah.
Okay. And the writing.
I'm giving you examples just to know.
Yes, and the writing is an Arabic script. It's not.
No, it's totally. No.
What does it look like?
It's look like.
Can you describe it? Is it easy to describe?
No, it's not easy to describe. Maybe I can. One sec. Maybe I can find it.
No, don't worry. It was just don't worry. Okay, so you actually grew up speaking Assyrian.
Assyrian, yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And even the months names, the month of the year, like Nisan, we say Nisan for April.
Yes.
We say Tammuz, we say Tabakh, we say Cherry for November. We say Cherry.
Right. Okay. Very, very interesting. Okay. We'll get back to some political stuff. So I've got Leon, Helen, and Dennis with their hands up.
Yeah.
So Leon, please unmute yourself. Leon doesn't have a camera, so please unmute yourself and ask your question of Neil. Leon, are you there? Okay, we'll come back to Leon. Helen, are you able to unmute and ask your question?
Nobody want to talk with a Syrian man. Nobody.
They can't unmute. Let me just have a look. We should be able to.
I've got it now. Now you're muted. I can't hear you.
Hello. Neil, can you hear me? Can you?
I can hear you both, guys. Yes, of course.
Neil. First of all, before I ask my question, I'd just like to say I'm not at all surprised by your 41.5%, because the Jews were in your part of the world 1,200 years before the Arab conquest. So I'm not at all surprised. My question is this: are you surprised that a small minority of Alawites has managed to preserve their tyrannical regime for as long as they have? Is there not a significant opposition that is doing something to try to rid the country of that terrible regime?
So just to understand your question, you mean that how Alawi could till now control the country, and even if they are minority. This is your question, yes?
Yes, yes.
Let me tell you a quick answer. The Alawi people, at Hafiz Assad time, it's different than Bashar Assad time. At Hafiz Assad time, there was a complicated relations between the Soviet Union and American, coming down to the Arab people, Iran and Israel, and everybody and also the countries around us, like Jordan, like Iraq, like Turkey, like Egypt. Everybody was seeing that it's good to have Syrian controlled under Hafiz Assad regime because it's gardening it. So Hafiz Assad was like a gardener. He kept everything. Yes, he is not giving solution. Look, he's not giving solution, but he's keeping everything like it is. They start doing problems, of course, in Lebanon, start doing some problems in Jordan, but for sure there was something under the table between the Soviet Union and Americans to keep it like that. I don't know if he has, I don't know if he has any connections between him and the Israeli people or Israeli government that time. Maybe. I'm not saying that very far. Maybe that's, for me, it's more than 40% that something between him and them that time. So everything around him keep him to stay in the control of that country. Of course, using a very tough iron hand with the people inside, and nobody saying anything against him. Look to the Western people or Europe or America. They just say something and they just say, look, this is against the human rights, when they want something about that guy or that people or that regime. But when you see them shut their mouth, that means there's something between them. They want him to stay there. But that was different when Bashar Assad come to the government, because Bashar Assad, his wife is from Sunni people, Muslim Sunni, which is totally different than the Alawi people. And he start putting and pumping Sunni people to the army, to the economy. Not like before. He took control from many Alawi strong people, they were there at Hafez Assad time, and giving it to Sunni people. He thought by that he will keep the Sunni people under his arm, and in the same time playing the same game with outside people as his father was doing. But that was totally not correct, because the time changed, the people changed, and he was less, let me say, not stupid, but he's not clever like his father. Hafez Assad, very clever man, I'm telling you. He's very clever, but Bashar Assad, he's very far to be like his father. But now, after the war start, and that actually giving me, can I take another 2 minutes, just because this is the other side, after the war started in Syria. Look, in February 2012, Alan, I saw for the first time by my eyes, not through the newspaper, I saw a militia from Shia, from Iran and Hezbollah in my street, in my homes, in my city. It was the first time I am seeing a people not belong to the Syrian government coming with their full weapons to support the Syrian regime. And when I saw this, I told to my wife, that's it, we need to leave. Because when you saw a people coming from another country, like Hezbollah, who is saying in front of everybody that he's fighting Israel, that he's in my city fighting my people, which is 400 kilometers far away from Israel, that's mean, nah, there's something dirty coming. So really, I was correct with that. Really,
that's okay.
So, yes.
Helen, please unmute yourself and ask your question now. We're still having trouble? Okay, we'll go to Dennis. You should be able to unmute, Helen, because now you're right.
I've got it right. Just a quick comment first about this heritage in your DNA. I hear from so many people who are not Jewish that they find that they have Jewish heritage. But I wonder how many Jewish people bother to find out how much heritage they have from other people, from Christians or Muslims. I think we would find the same, probably.
Yeah, maybe, yes. Yeah.
Okay, what's your question?
My question, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Sorry, go ahead.
I have two quick questions, if I may. One is, do you think there's any possibility that the Syrian regime may take notice of what benefits those Arab countries that have now established relations with Israel are getting, that it may influence them economically, very, very successful? And the second question, which you may not want to answer, and I understand, I find it interesting that you are not afraid to speak your mind in Australia, with the danger that that may involve for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you. Let me go to the first part of your question, the first part, which is about when our regime maybe will understand this. Let me tell you something. Our regime will not understand that. He had the chance to understand this 50 years, till 2011. Believe me, he knows that it's better to do peace with Israel and give the people peace there, push the economy of the country, push the people up. Look to Israel, it's a very modern country, very technology, high technology country, democratic country. Okay, I'm not saying to be like them now, of course, but at least we even in Syria, we have a good culture, good civilization. Why we are going too deep in this stupid fight with these people? And you know that if you did this, the opposite of that, and you have the peace, we will have a good economy, good education, good healthcare, at least good relationship with people around you and with the world. But after 2011, let me tell you something. I am sorry, but it's not his decision. Now, even if he want to go, even if he want to sign now, Iranian people will not let him go. Now, me and Bashar Assad have the same decision in the in the government. he don't control anything. Iran now, Iran controlling everything. If Iran say yes to him, he will say yes. If Iran say no, he will say no. That's it.
And would Syria would,
you need to know that
Syria would therefore not be a supporter of the Abraham Accords?
No.
I mean, privately they might think that, but publicly they would say they oppose the Abraham Accords.
Let me tell you something, Alan. Before Ibrahim peace paper or sign with the Arab countries before 2-3 years, all the Syrian people they pushed. Do you know how many Syrian people they want to do peace with Israel? Do you know how many Syrian people they want to do this? Not for the love of Israel, but for the love of peace and for the love of their country, to set peace, to start as any other people around the world. Why now in Syria 80 or 90% from the people are under the poor line? Why? Just because you want to fight against Israel and you want to resist, and you look to your friends. If you are Bashar Assad and look to his friends are Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea. Come on, man. You want to be successful friends? Yes, that's for the first part. So now it's not under his control. He can do anything, even if he wants. Forget that's a good night. But for the other part, second part, how I am not afraid to talk, let me tell you something. Before 10 minutes from 8 o'clock today, I was afraid. Till 10 minutes before 8 o'clock, believe me. Because this is the first time I'm talking like that. I don't know who is watching me. I don't know who is maybe recording me. I don't know. But now, I don't care. I waited till I have my Australian citizenship. I waited till I have this freedom. Not just to talk, to think. Because even freedom of thinking, you can't have it before. No, I can't. I want to have Jewish friends. I want to work with Jewish people. I want to join them. I want to take my kids and show them Jewish kids. What's the problem with that? Everything 40 years I was banned to do, I want to do it from now on.
And you're in Sydney. Have you had a chance to make connections with any of the Jewish community of Sydney?
The best one, man, David, my friend.
Okay, so for all you people,
it was the only.
Okay, so for you people in Sydney, there's a very good friend, a potential friend that you can get together with. Dennis, we'll take your question. Please unmute and ask your question. It seems to be a little...
Okay, thank you very much. I'm glad you mentioned Iran because that's the subject of my question. without Iran, there would be no Assad.
That's right.
Okay, because the Alawites are a minority, a small minority within Syria, and without the support of the Iranian regime, Assad would have been overthrown a long time ago.
That's right. Totally
Okay.
right.
Now Syria controls the government, controls the military, and has free entry of weaponry and munitions into Syria. What is the view of the Syrian public to this control by a foreign nation with a different religion, after all, as well? We're talking the difference between Sunni and Shiite. What is the view of the people within Syria themselves to this?
Yeah. Okay, let me get it from this side to you. You need to know something very important. Syria before the war was 25 million population. And from this 25 million, 70 to 75 were Sunni people. Okay, that's good. Now Syria, it's between 12 to 13 million. So half of them are outside the country. And all this 12 million, let me say all, but 95% from them are Sunni people.
Right.
So they decreased the percent of the Sunni people first by sending them out. And then we have now we have the minority of Alawi pushing by the Iranian people, supporting them by the Iranian militias, by Hezbollah. Do you know that? Do you know, maybe this is another point. Do you know that Syrian army, they don't have any control or for any point on the border?
Mm-hmm.
All the borders around Syria are controlled by Iran, and some by Russia. On the sea side is controlled by Russia.
Yeah.
So just imagine all your points between you and your other countries are controlled by the Shia militias, by Iran militias. This is another point. Look, Alawi people, they are very peaceful people. They are good people. I have many friends of them, and they are very open-minded people, actually. Bashar Assad and before him, Hafiz Assad, push them to this pushing. Alawi people, they are not bad people. They are very peaceful, poor people, educated people, open-minded people. But Bashar Assad pushed them to this by showing them that we have two choices, me or Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, which is the Jabhat al-Nasra al-Qaeda guy. And this is what happened also to Christians, the same game to the Christians. Okay, you don't want me? That's it. Go to Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. And you know, let me tell you a small thing quick here. Abu Muhammad al-Jolani was in the jail. Bashar Assad came outside and gave him all this militia just to have something to play with. You don't want me? Take Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. And he played the same game with America. He played the same game with the European countries. He played the same game with the Christians and with the Alawi himself. But for the Alawi people, they can accept to be controlled by Shia because they still Shia. So Alawi, they are still a minority kind of Shia. They still Shia. They are not Sunni. So if I am Alawi, okay, I don't prefer to be controlled by Shia, but if I have two choices, no, of course I prefer Shia to control me, not and the other Sunni people. The other point is also that many people, they don't know that, or they don't not mentioned it, that Bashar Assad has a very strong Sunni people around him economically. All the big traders, the big names, the big people working in money, they are Sunni, and they are controlled directly with after Bashar, and they controlled by Bashar and by his wife, especially by his wife now, Asma. By the way, Asma, she's from my city, so from Homs. So they are controlling the economy. So if you are Sunni and you want to open your mouth, you don't have any choice, my friend. You don't have any choice. The military is not with you, and the economy is not with you. And yes, it's with you, but you can't say anything because the people controlling it, the Sunni people controlling it, they are friends with Bashar. They want Bashar to stay there for their interest to continue their money.
Okay,
So
now we'll take
both. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's right. Now we're sort of running out of time. I just want to let Robert come in with with a written question. So, Robert, have you got something to ask Neil?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Very interesting talk. I'll just say
Robert.
on the DNA, high 40%, because you inherit 50% from each parent, so that most likely is consistent with one parent being 100% Jewish. So definitely
Yes.
worth testing either side of the family to see which side it comes from.
Yeah.
But we've got a question, just a written question. What was your experience, or could you go into a little bit more detail just quickly with Salafists and jihadists while you're growing up? Was that a problem in your youth around there, or is that a more recent phenomenon? And yeah, what
Look,
was your experience?
It was very hard with them. Not very hard. Do you know why? Because the Salafi people are there from more than 1,000 years. Also, my family there was there in 4,000 years. My grandparents. So we are neighbors. Look, you need to know something with these guys. If they like you, they will not touch you. But if they hate you, they will cut your head. They don't have this middle relation. They don't have it. So if they like you, they like you. No problem. They will never touch you. And not just not touch you, they will protect you. And this happened to actually in my area when this revolution started in Syria and Homs. And you need to know something, Robert. In my streets, Bab al-Saba, you can go and Google it. The Free Syrian Army started from there. The Free Syrian Army, many of them are my friends with me in the same chair in the students, in the same seats in the school. So I know them. And many times they protected me and protected my family when they just started and when they really were fighting for freedom of Syria. But when this turn point happened, when other Salafi jihadi people came to Homs, to Syria, from some of them from other countries like Tunisia, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, Albania, Yugoslavia, and Chechnya, China, and the other people came from Syria, but from other cities. When this starts happening, these people don't know you. They will not protect you. So you need to run away. I know exactly, Robert, how these people are thinking. And I know exactly, I grew up with them. They are my friends in my childhood. I even know how they are praying in the mosque. I know it from A to Z. If you put me now, if you took me and put me in middle of 100 Salafi jihadi Islamic people, they will never know me that I'm Christian. Never. Because I rised up like them. So for that, and because I rised up like them, I know how much they are danger. And I know how much exactly they are. And this is one of the points the regime play on it. That you don't want me, take these people. So that was the issue regime play with it. Yeah. But it was very interesting childhood to living with these people.
No, okay. Look, we have come up to time. Tomorrow, obviously, and of course, is Australia Day in this country, and I can't think of a better. Australia Day seems to be on a bit of a downward trend amongst a lot of the so-called progressives, but I can't think of a better example of why we should be celebrating Australia Day than having you join us tonight, Neil. I just want to thank you so much. It's just been so interesting, and I think Australia is all the better for having people like you in it. So. Just before you go in just for a minute, what does Australia Day mean to you?
Actually, that's a very strange question, because this question my daughter asked me in my first Australian Day in 2007. She asked, Dad, why we are celebrating Australian Day? Look, for me, maybe it's different than you and our other friends here with us today. But for me, Alan, it's a new life. Australian Day for me is celebrating my freedom, celebrating a new life, celebrating running away from a very dark area to coming to a new area, at least giving freedom and good future to my kids. Believe me. For me, Australia Day is not normal Australia Day as you guys. For me, it's more deep than that. It's a new life.
Well, I think for us, a lot of us were born in Australia, but our parents came from somewhere else. So we're probably only one generation removed from the experiences or the sorts of feelings that you're having. So we can relate to what you're saying, and And Neil, it's just been delightful to chat with you, and I wish you all the success in Australia, and we're very lucky to have you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Aram. Yeah, I'm very happy to see you guys today, really, and hope to see you more in the future. I see more friends from my community, from my cousins.
Yes, absolutely. So that's all we have for tonight. Don't forget the L'chaim program with Morris Klein is on right now. Morris is still in holiday mode, but they are replaying one of their previous episodes with Amir Maimon, the ambassador to Israel. That's all we have. Don't forget you can follow what AJA is doing on our Facebook page. Please like it and share it widely. But for now, that's all we have. So until next week, we look forward to joining you then. But from me, it's good night to you all. Bye to everybody. Good night.
Good night. See you. Bye-bye.